Hello Carbon Units. Today we're going to take a look at this Hori 6-button joypad for the 3DO. Now, as some of you may or may not know, the stock 3DO pad only had 3 face buttons, which was a bit reductive because the Super Nintendo had been out for a couple of years, had 4 face buttons. This layout was essentially the same as the Mega Drive, but with added shoulder buttons and an extra button down here. But it's a bit silly because at the time, joypads with 6 face buttons had become the normal for fighting games. You know, the 16-bit machines had third-party pads with 6 buttons. Sega brought out an absolutely superb pad with 6 face buttons on it for the Mega Drive. So by the time the 3DO came out, it's a little bit strange to have this layout, and to be honest, it's not the best pad in the world as we know. It's not the worst ever. You see a lot of people complain about it. It's not really that bad, but it's not the best either. Definitely not suited for fighting games. So you've got some options, such as this not often seen 3DO Hori pad. So the actual designation on this pad is the, if we get it across, so by Hori, the Fighting Commander Reel, model H3D07. As you can see, it's got 6 face buttons. The D-pad's really nice. Well, definitely compared to the stock 3DO pad. You've got turbo buttons for all of the face buttons. So you can see at the bottom there are normal. You go up for turbo, and then if you put it on hold, it means the button's permanently held down. You've got some mode options here. So standard 3-button mode. In 5-button mode, L, these 3 and R work, but not this one. That replicates the P or pause button here. L and R replicate the shoulder buttons. So in 6-button mode that's on at the minute, the 6 face buttons work, but these do not. Those are turned off while these are in use. You've got a slow motion selector. You might have seen this on loads of pads. It's not really slow motion. It basically pauses the game on and off to simulate slow motion. Which in most games is absolutely ridiculous because you just get pause flashing up on the screen as you're going through the motions. So that's never been a great feature. What I did find with this pad is the internals are absolutely filthy. When I got it, it was not in great working shape. I had to take it open, use some rubbing alcohol to clean the thing down. I've had to do it a couple of times, and now it's working swell, but just be careful that these things have probably been sitting around for ages. You don't see this pad at all. I'd never seen it until I got my 3DO from a Japanese auction on Yahoo Auctions Japan. It was bundled in. The last couple I've seen on eBay go for about £100. There's one that didn't sell recently for about £200, which was way overpriced, that come with a Super Nintendo adapter for the 3DO. Is it worth £100? It's definitely the best option you've got for playing Street Fighter 2 on the 3DO, which is one of the best versions. You can probably hear the music in the background. The excellent arranged soundtrack for the 3DO version. Soundtrack can also be found on other versions like the PS2 one that came out later on. So not that rare, not that obscure, the soundtrack. Pad's obscure. It's probably the best option for Street Fighter 2 and other fighting games. It's certainly one of the most comfortable. Moves, no problem. The buttons are completely sound. That's a nice option. You're probably more familiar with, for the 3DO, for 6 buttons, the Capcom Soldier Pad. Now, this looks a little bit weird, doesn't it? You can also get this, well, there's versions for the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. This is probably the most common 6-button pad for the 3DO you'll find. Let's have a quick look at this. So you got your pause and X or start button. I mean, this one's perfectly usable. It is comfortable. I would recommend, I think they made it like this. So you can do this. That's how you use it. Not like this. Although it's perfectly usable like that if you hold it like that. It's not really at all uncomfortable. It's comfortable at the back. You've got this sort of ridged palm rest for your fingers, which is nifty. I mean, this is perfectly fine. This one's a lot cheaper. You can get this for about £30. But this one's a bit more traditional. It feels a bit normal. You're going to be more used to this. This one's no problem at all. It's still a nice pad, but really, this is the ultimate if you can get it. Is it worth 100 quid? Probably not. But if you can get it in a bundle, fair game. It's pretty nifty, pretty comfortable. Definitely recommend it. If there's one neg about the Hori pad, it is that there's no option for 2-player. So it's a strictly 1-player pad, or you have to plug it into another pad that has the option for plugging in another controller, because on 3DOs, I don't know if this is a great idea or a ridiculous idea, but the machine only has one controller port, like the PC Engine, but the second controller pad plugs into the top of the pad, and then you daisy chain them like that. So the soldier pad has a breakout box like this that you can plug another pad into, but for the Hori, no dice. Maybe they did it to cut costs. Maybe they thought no one with 3DO is going to have any mates. But there you go. The most glamorous of 3DO pads. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. And have a good day.
Carbon units, keep it groovy and stay rad.